Hey, seventh graders. Welcome to part 3 of our discussion on the Golden Age of Athens. I really hope these videos help to understand this time period in history. During part 1, we discussed Pericles, the charismatic political leader who had 3 goals for Athens. And by accomplishing these 3 goals, Pericles helped lead Athens into its golden age, or a time period of wealth and peace. Part 2, we started to discuss the golden age and some of the achievements that the Athenians made during this time period. We talked about Greek religion and their many gods and goddesses. We talked about architecture, and we talked about sculptures. Well, today we're going to talk about Greek drama, one of my favorite topics to discuss. We're going to talk about Greek philosophy, and lastly, Greek sports, and what role did sports play in the golden age of Athens. So we're going to start with talking about Greek drama. And drama is the art of writing, acting in, and producing plays. That is drama. The art of writing, acting in, and producing plays. Dionysus was the Greek god of wine, fertility, and theater. So many of the plays in Athens were performed during festivals in honor of the god Dionysus. All right, so when they're celebrating this god, they often performed plays. There were 2 types of dramas. The first type of Greek drama was a tragedy. And in a tragedy, the main character struggled to overcome hardships, but does not succeed. So the main character throughout the play will try to overcome some type of hardship, but in the end, he fails. And so this main character was known as a tragic hero, one who was brought to disaster by a single flaw in his or her character. It is because of that flaw that they were not able to overcome their hardship. The second type of Greek drama was a comedy. And in ancient Greece, a comedy did not necessarily mean ha ha ha, like we think of a comedy today, a funny movie or a funny TV show. A comedy was a play that had a happy ending. All right, so maybe the main character was successful at the end. Greek plays had many different parts, and one of the parts that was played was known as the chorus. And the chorus was a group of men that could be up to 12 to 15 men as part of the chorus. And the chorus had a very significant role in the play. They were almost like the narrator. The chorus would recite lines that made comments on the actions of the characters. The chorus would help to explain and expand the story beyond the dialogue of the characters. The chorus would also interact with the audience. The chorus could be used to reveal character motivations hidden by the dialogue. So after some dialogue is spoken, the chorus could expand upon maybe the character's motivation behind his or her actions in the play. When it comes to actors, there were no women, and usually there were no more than 3 actors who appeared in a play. So actors would play multiple roles. Actors wore a mask, wore a mask. These different masks, as you can see the examples, they had exaggerated expressions that helped define the character to the audience. So based on the mask, you could realize how the character was feeling in the play. This allowed actors to play different roles or even different genders by wearing a mask. The mask helped audience members in the distant seats see, so they could be able to see the expression from the top of the theater. The mask also projected sound. It was like a little megaphone, a small megaphone that projected sound that so everyone in the theater could hear. And in a tragedy, the mask was more lifelike, where in a comedy, it would be more ugly as you're looking for this happier type of play. The mask could be made of wood, linen, cork, and sometimes they even used real hair. Costumes that they used helped identify social status, gender, and the age of the character. So they wore different outfits to help identify traits of the characters in the play. They also used props to help create the character or to symbolize certain aspects of the play. So an example of a prop that they would use is red carpet to symbolize the blood spilled. So the red carpet would symbolize that maybe someone was stabbed and now blood is over, instead of actually bleeding, of course. The Greek theaters was a great achievement, and it's kind of the same concept that we use today. Theaters were open air. They were built into the side of a mountain. They were shaped in a bowl so that everyone could hear what was said. Seats rose in a semicircle around the stage, the same as today. So it's like a bowl shaped, and it's a semicircle around the stage, and it's elevated. So if you look at the pictures, if you go to a play or a concert or even a sporting event, it's very similar to the theaters of ancient Greece, the way the seating is, as it's a semicircle facing the stage, and the seats rise, they go up. The scenery was painted on canvas and hung behind the actors. So you can see in the illustration on the bottom how they created the scenes behind them. In ancient Athens, there was no fee to enter the theater. Drama was not meant for profit. It was meant as a form of entertainment, as usually part of a festival or religious ceremony. Okay, I could talk all day about Greek drama, but let's move to Greek philosophy. Philosophy is the search for wisdom and knowledge. Athenians loved to talk and argue, and if you would go to the agora, you would see men of all ages talking and arguing about different things of life, different aspects of life. And so you would see discussion about the meaning of life, justice, truth, and beauty. You're not only talking about nature, but you're talking about things that you couldn't see, but you are trying to figure out. And so the greatest Greek philosopher was known as Socrates. And Socrates encouraged everyone to question the things they thought they knew, to question your beliefs. And so he was all about asking questions. Questions like, what makes a good life? What is truth? How do you know what truth is? All right, these questions are focusing on challenging what we think we know. So Socrates, and this is a big practice that we even do in the classroom in 7th grade, where we talk and we discuss, and I'm asking questions to make you think about what you already know, and can you develop it more. But Socrates got in trouble. He was accused of not honoring the gods and leading young people into error and disloyalty. Because Socrates had them challenge what they knew, challenge their beliefs. And so people thought he was not honoring the gods. He was trying to turn people against them. And so Socrates was brought to trial. Socrates said that he was the wisest man in Greece because he knew that he did not know anything. Okay, he kind of realized that he kind of believed that he didn't know anything. Right? If you look at, all these questions he's asking, it's almost impossible to know anything because you're always challenging the beliefs. And so during trial, he was found guilty. He was sentenced to death. His friends encouraged him to escape, but he wanted to honor the law. And so he drank hemlock, a poisonous plant, and he was executed. Socrates influenced other Greek philosophers, such as his student Plato, and Plato influenced his student Aristotle. So Socrates really made an impact in the field of philosophy. Question what you already know. And when you can't ask any more questions, ask a question. And the last thing I want to talk about is sports in Athens. I know this video is going a little long, but I have a beautiful, soothing voice. The purpose of sports was to reveal the Greeks' emphasis on the healthy body. They are focusing, again, honoring the gods through a healthy body. So they held athletic events to honor the gods and goddesses. And so one of these athletic events was known as the Panathenea. And this was a festival to honor Athena. And they had many sporting events, horse and chariot races. They had an event where men jumped on and off a moving chariot. They had foot races, one race where they would run in full armor, combat sports, boxing, wrestling. They had an event where men were allowed to punch, kick, and even choke each other until one fighter surrendered or lost consciousness or died. And so these sporting events were part of this bigger festival to honor Athena, but it was showing, that they're honoring Athena, but they're also showing their physical health, and their body. That was an emphasis in ancient Athens. And the winners of these games were crowned with leaves, laurel leaves, and they were given pots filled with olive oil, which was considered a big honor at the time. Another game that you may have heard about is the Olympics. Another sporting event, the Olympics. And we still have the Olympics today. This is a lasting legacy, everybody, lasting legacy. The Olympics were played every 4 years in honor of Zeus. And during the Olympics, they would have many sporting events, many of the ones I just mentioned. But during the Olympics, all Greeks would call a truce from war so that the athletes could travel safely to the games and they could participate in the games and then go back home and things would start all over again. But they would have a call of truce during the Olympics. Again, the Athens, remember, they wanted to build good citizens, but they also focused on the body as well. The mind and the body was the focus in Athens. All right. This is part 3, the last part of our Golden Age of Athens. Make sure you took notes over this. I will check them tomorrow.